Beirut today. An Israeli strike smashes into a multi-story building. Crowds now regularly gather to watch from a distance when Israel announces where it's about to hit in advance. Most of those living in the city's southern suburbs, where support for Hezbollah is high, have already fled. But not everyone.
The fruits of our lifetime are gone. Our memories, our safety is gone. Israel decided to steal them from us, but we won't let them. We're staying.
On the ground in southern Lebanon, the Israeli army has said it's expanding its fight against Hezbollah, pushing into a second line of villages further away from the border, even as talks on a possible ceasefire have been gathering pace. US envoy Amos Hochstein met Israeli officials yesterday after having been in Beirut. A deal that would see Hezbollah pull its forces back from the border seems to be on the cards, though it's not yet been agreed. For now, there's both talking and fighting. This a funeral for an Israeli man killed in a Hezbollah rocket attack. Amongst the mourners, Israel's foreign minister. Gideon Saar took the opportunity to attack the International Criminal Court for issuing arrest warrants for the country's prime minister and former defense minister. It's an attempt to assassinate Israel's right to defend itself and its citizens, he said. Every member state of the ICC is now obliged to detain Benjamin Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant for alleged war crimes if they enter their country, though it's unlikely they'll ever face trial. Western capitals have been reacting to the move. The British government saying it would follow its legal obligations, but refusing to elaborate much further.
We respect the independence of the court, and the UK government's position continues to be that we need to pursue a ceasefire.
A German official said it's hard to imagine arresting the men, despite insisting the country does support the court. Hungary's far-right president went further, inviting Netanyahu to visit, promising him no action would be taken. In America, not a signatory to the court, Biden called the warrants outrageous, whilst Trump's team is reported to be considering sanctions against ICC officials. And in Gaza, the war-ravaged centre of all of this, more Israeli strikes. That means more deaths, more suffering. What did this child ever do to Israel? Asked this man. He was born in the war. A father cradles a baby's tiny body. Amidst the horror, a gentle, tear-soaked goodbye.
Well, there's little hope in Gaza that the arrest warrant for Benjamin Netanyahu will change anything on the ground. The International Criminal Court did not include allegations of ethnic cleansing, but human rights activists say that's what's happening in northern Gaza. The Forensic Architecture Research Agency has just released new data showing the extent of the displacement caused by the recent military offensive in the north. Israeli authorities have previously rejected such accusations. Harry Fawcett reports.
For 7 weeks now, Israel has been pummeling and constricting the far north of Gaza. It says in a sustained campaign against resurgent Hamas fighters. This is the consequence. People here say the aim. An estimate of up to 130,000 civilians, 80% of the population, forced south with what little they can carry. A girl stops, overwhelmed, while others tell of a rare aid delivery to their neighborhood in Beit Hanun. Hours later, it was bombed, and then the Israeli soldiers came.
While they were supposedly supporting us, they forced us out of our houses, and we couldn't carry any food, water, or anything else. It's all planned. They always force us to do this and pressure us until we move from one place to another.
What happened to us? You see what happened to us. The whole world sees what happened to us.
Among the closest observers, the team at Forensic Architecture, which has long mapped and campaigned against Israel's military activities in the occupied Palestinian territories.
an enclosure inside an enclosure inside an enclosure. It's like...
Through tens of thousands of data points, they've been charting Gaza's increasingly gruesome topography since October last year and are in no doubt about what's happening right now in the far north.
They are being ethnically cleansed from the area, and Israel has decided to actually crush, starve, and push them militarily out of that area into the south.
Since the Hamas attacks of October last year and the start of Israel's military campaign, evacuation orders have rippled through Gaza as the area in blue, deemed safe, has shifted. On the 6th of October, Israel's evacuation blocks in the north were enlarged and all civilians in the far northern governorate ordered to leave. From then till now, a renewed and intensified invasion cutting off the topmost section of the strip, using in part routes and areas once home to Israeli settlements. In 2005, as Israel prepared to pull out of and bulldoze its Gaza settlements, Channel 4 News documented a young far-right activist, Itamar Ben-Gvir, as he led a quixotic last stand against the government. Now he's in government, the National Security Minister, guest of honour in October at a rally just outside Gaza for those who want to go back in for good. Earlier this month, a senior soldier was quoted as saying he had orders to cleanse the north, but Palestinians would not return. Comments later described by the Israeli army as out of context and not reflective of its objectives and values. The IDF didn't respond to our request for comment, but one well-connected former general says the aim is to get civilians to safety, not permanently remove them.
I work closely with the Israeli government. I never heard any official or the Prime Minister or the Minister of Defense talking about citizens not coming back home. The issue that the IDF is dealing now is how to win the war. Now, the fastest this war will be over, the fastest people will be able to go back and rebuild their lives.
Journalists, former military figures, they say that this is explained by military necessity, that if you wanted to attack Hamas, if you wanted to exert some level of control over Gaza for some time to come, this is what you would do without necessarily wanting to resettle it.
If you wanted to settle Gaza, this is what you would do. That's the infrastructure that you would put. I do not know if they're going to do it. I do not know if there's a chance. But effectively, what we have is an infrastructure of control that can turn very fast and into an infrastructure where settlement could actually replace the military bases.
Whatever that future holds, for those being driven from their homes, the present is plenty to contend with. And from the collective Palestinian past comes the understanding that the temporary has long had a way of becoming permanent.